Welcome to Discovery Watch with John Kaiser.
I'm Jim Goddard. Welcome back to the show, John.
Jim, it's a pleasure to be back on your show.
John, Nevada Exploration published an update on its South Grass Valley project. Do we have a new Carlin-type discovery?
Well, Jim, when you are looking for a Carlin-type deposit, the only news release that matters is one that has assays in it. This is not like the Walker Lane where you intersect epithermal systems with often visible gold and silver in it, then you can produce an update and people can get quite excited. But what the company did report after spending an entire month drilling one hole, number 9, is that they lost a hole at 621 meter depth. They managed to intersect bedrock at around 400 meters. This was a technically very difficult hole, but they said that what it bottomed in before they lost it was the best looking rock that they have seen so far on this South Grass Valley project. And the language is the usual, sooty appearance, intense silicification, decalcification, all the sort of stuff you want to hear. But because in these Carlin-type systems, the gold is micron-sized, you don't know until you have assays what you do have. And they kind of finished off the news release saying the bottom of the hole looks similar to the bottom of most of the other holes except the one that bottomed in the granite intrusive. And the market kind of looked at that and said, well, I thought it was actually better than everything else. And that kind of undermined the market's perception about, how high should we have our hopes? Now, the company feels that, we've now intersected this increasingly better rock at depth in this system that's now almost 4 kilometers by over 1 kilometer wide. It's a lower plate, hydrothermally altered system with Carlin pathfinders in it. The pathfinders, their grade actually increases at depth, but the company's been kind of frustrated because it's only been getting these 10 ppb gold values, which of course is just anomalous, and occasionally it spikes up a little higher where there are veins or fissures that picked up a little bit more gold, but all they have is smoke. And their thinking now is, okay, the system is deeper. We're getting the smoke on a system, the remnants of a major mineralized plumbing system with the gold's been trapped deeper. It's a fire that we're seeking. We need to drill deeper. They've got the next hole now set about 500 meters northwest of hole 9. It intersected bedrock a little shallower at about 321 meters rather than 400 meters. And that extends it from the line another 1,000 meters to the north. So it's a 4 kilometer by 1 kilometer grid that they've now established. And this hole will carry on drilling, probably take another 3 to 4 weeks. Drilling conditions are difficult. They plan to push this one deeper than any of the holes so far so that they can sort of get through this whole package and see where exactly the gold is piling up. And Wade Hodges has this theory that the fact that they're getting 10 ppb gold all over the place is actually a big positive, because it means that the gold has been sponged up by some host rock deeper down, and that the fluids carrying the pathfinder elements, those aren't quite as sticky as the gold is, that when they do find something, it'll be very significant. But until they do, it is still a waiting game. In the past week, Barrick and Newmont announced that they have completed the consolidation of their northern Nevada operations. They call it Nevada Gold Mines, and they report 82 million ounces in grading between 2 and 3 grams per ton in all the resource categories. And this will, I suspect they will spin this out at some point to create this, North American gold champion that's Nevada focused, and that leaves these other areas such as where Nevada Exploration Inc. is pioneering exploration with new methodologies. These are areas where there aren't any of these major mines. If they should discover something significant here, it blows Nevada wide open. Renaissance Gold has got multiple farm-outs, another junior, which we'll be talking about soon. Alianza has got farm-outs going. So other groups are becoming curious about what it is that Newmont and Nevada do not have tied up in northern Nevada. But we do need a breakthrough in terms of a new discovery in a new area. The bear market has been absolutely brutal. A few weeks ago, Albert Matter, who is like the consummate promoter, he actually packed it in and said, we are going to stop work because we just can't finance. And poor New Legacy with its iceberg project and all these ex-Barrick people on board, it plunged to 3 cents and is sitting there trying to figure out what to do with its system. The problem is in Nevada, when you're hunting for these elephants, it is very expensive. It is almost it is a big company game. And if you really want to find make a major Carlin type discovery, you need to have a lot of capital backing you, because ultimately its assays and these systems are large, but the gold does concentrate into the sometimes very squirrely geometry, such as the Cortez Hills deposit. You need the staying power, and what we need is a breakthrough intersection. Once you've got it, then you're off to the races. But in the case of Nevada Exploration Inc., this very large area to the South Grass Valley, should they deliver something there, then many other areas become interesting. We're still waiting for Highway 50 to tell us what they intersected at Golden Brew, which is also a blind under gravel cover play off to the west of the known Keto Carlin style system. So no Carlin type discovery yet, but we got several weeks, 2-3 weeks to wait for assays. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll have something in the bottom of the hole. Maybe this next hole they'll manage to push it deep enough to really get into the guts of what's the system that they believe is present at South Grass Valley.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after the break.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Grand Portage Resources' Herbert Gold Project in southeast Alaska highlights increased gold resource, indicated and inferred, of 860,000 ounces, in excess of 10 grams per ton gold. Expansion drilling is planned on the Herbert Gold property for the summer of 2019. Grand Portage Resources trading symbols are GPG on the TSX Venture, GPTRF on the OTCQB, and GPB on Frankfurt. For more information, please visit our website, grandportage.com.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, last week you talked about Golden Predator, and a week later the stock was up 50%, but gold in the meantime has not done anything special. Why is Golden Predator up?
Golden Predator got a Canada Day surprise when the Yukon government notified it that the mining and water licenses that were granted for the original Brewery Creek operation, which operated a heap leach mine from 1996 to 2002, during which nearly 300,000 ounces were produced, is in fact still valid. And this is a big surprise because in 2013, the Yukon surprised Golden Predator by saying, no, this plan to restart Brewery Creek as a heap leach mine using all the ounces that were left behind when they had to shut it down due to low prices, this is not a brownfields operation. It is not covered by the old licenses. You need to resume from scratch. And we talked about that last week, how that really hurt the company, caused a default on a major loan they had. And the PEA, when they finally delivered it in late 2014 at $1,300 gold, it that it didn't make sense to develop the project. The capex was way too high relative to the NPV, and I suspect that even today at $1,400 gold, the project still doesn't clear the development hurdles. But not having to go through the complete greenfields permitting cycle, that is a big deal, because if gold does develop a sustained uptrend, which many people such as myself believe is almost inevitable, it's just a question of what exactly triggers it, then Golden Predator will be able to show, okay, at $1,600 gold, we've got the NPV here, it's going to be this, and start raising the capex and fast-track development. And that's very important, because if you have to plod through 3 to 4 years of permitting to get your mine into production, who knows where gold will be in 3 to 4 years. Now, the other good news that they got was that from the Tronda-Cowetchin First Nation Council, it notified them that they passed a resolution that they were in support of Yukon reversing itself and allowing these old water and mining licenses to still be valid rather than having to start from scratch. And so now the company is rolling up its sleeve to work with the First Nations group to develop amendments, because some of their mining plan is outside the old license area, so they will need to do amendments. And the stock reacted quite positively to this. It was up to 38.5 cents today. That's up 50%, as you mentioned. And the timing is good, because in a week I travel to the Yukon for this annual conference and property tour festival that the Yukon Mining Alliance puts on in order to promote the virtues of the Yukon as a place not just to find wonderful stuff, but also to develop it into a mine. So this announcement is a good shot in the arm, and when I get back in a few weeks from this thing, I am sure I'll have some brand new Yukon-based Discovery Watch juniors to talk about.
We'll have more with John Kaiser right after the break.
Cypress Development Corp. is developing a world-class lithium resource in the heart of Clayton Valley, Nevada. The size of the resource makes the Clayton Valley project a premier asset with the potential to impact the future of lithium supply. Cypress Development Corp. trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol CYP, the OTCQB, symbol CYDVF, and on Frankfurt, symbol C1Z1. For more information, please visit our website, cypressdevelopmentcorp.com.
Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp. is a Canadian-based mineral exploration project generator. The company currently holds multiple property interests in Ontario with joint venture partners and is seeking further joint venture partners for other drill-ready properties in our portfolio. For more information, please visit our website at rmroyalty.com or call me at 604-922-2030.
Welcome back. We're chatting with John Kaiser. John, the Moose Cree First Nation held its general election on Tuesday. What does that mean for Neil Bay Metals and its James Bay niobium project?
Jim, it is potentially a very positive development. Now, just to update our audiences on what this story was about, which I introduced earlier this year, the James Bay niobium deposit is a pretty good deposit found in the late 60s, a lot of work done on it, but then it fell off the grid. The Arasha deposit came on stream as the world's biggest deposit with grades several times larger, and then Niobec was found in Quebec and also developed, and between the two of them and a third deposit in Brazil, they supplied the world's niobium needs, and these days the niobium value is about $3 billion, but it all only comes from a handful of mines. Now, several years ago, the company Niobay acquired the rights to this forgotten deposit and initiated the permitting process, but then ran into a problem where they simply couldn't get the Ontario Ministry to grant the permit. And one of the problem was that the Moose Cree First Nation, in whose jurisdiction this is, the chief of the Moose Cree, Patricia Ferries, she's philosophically opposed to mining. And as part of the consultation process, the company is supposed to engage with all the relevant parties and discuss, is this going to be harmful to the environment, to your particular interests? Are we all mutual stakeholders in this? But she stonewalled all these efforts to engage in a consultation. And so the Ontario Ministry of Energy, Northern Development and Mines finally granted the permit in January, at which point Patricia Ferries immediately filed an application for a judicial review, alleging that this was granted without proper consultation with the Moose Cree First Nation. And as you can see, this was a bit of a Kafkaesque situation where you cannot win. And I suspect the Ontario Ministry granted the drill permit just to force this to a head because Niobe wasn't really making any headway. Well, the council, which was upset with the chief for other reasons, got extra upset about this, especially since she didn't really consult them on filing for this judicial review. And so several weeks later in March, she managed to file this right in the middle of PDAC, which was a bit of a downer for those of us who are following Niobe. Enough of the council resigned in one group to collapse the whole system and force a general election, which took place on July 2nd, on Tuesday. And it should have taken place next year, but this forced everything to a head. And we now have a new chief, Marvin Chichu. He is a pastor. He received 334 votes compared to 104 votes for Patricia Ferries. So that is a major setback. The community has spoken. Marvin Chichu is a pastor and counselor, so he's pretty much in tune with the problems of remote communities such as Moosonee, which sits on the edge of Hudson's Bay. It to some degree serviced the Victor mine, which has now finally shut down. It processed its last ore at the end of May. And it's a community where old economic activities such as trapping, it's pretty much fallen through the cracks because the price of furs is too low to support wild animal trapping as opposed to, say, fur animal farming. And but it doesn't necessarily mean that Niobe has the social license it needs in order to proceed with a drill program on the James Bay deposit. But the important thing is that the other council members, most of the ones who had forced the election by doing a mass resignation, they were re-elected. There seems to be a majority of people who are at least interested in discussing whether it is going to be good for the Moose Cree and First Nation and for Moosonee to have something like a mine developed in their backyard. And the James Bay mine probably won't result in a big chemical plant being built in that area. The ore will probably end up being concentrated and then shipped elsewhere for processing. But it will be a local job. It'll probably be a long-lived mine if they do develop it. It has a high-grade core. It was originally envisioned as an open pit, but this is a wetlands area. You're not going to ever permit an open pit mine. So their focus is, let's go in there, let's get do a 6-week drill program next winter, get a metallurgical sample, do some more studies, and then produce a PEA. And the key is now start a conversation with the new council and chief, engage the community, get them on side. Claude Dufresne, the CEO of Niobe, he thinks, well, maybe September, October, they can get a memorandum of understanding. If the council withdraws from the judicial review, that doesn't make it go away, because although the chief filed it on behalf of the council, another party also filed it. And this individual, an elderly member of the community, she is independent of this, and of course the legal fees would fall upon her. But I'm sure that there is an Ontario anti-mining lobby which will step up to pay the legal fees, because it is their goal to never have any mining in Ontario's backyard. It's best to push it off into other parts of the world where the victims aren't local victims. It's part of this whole cynical attitude. So if it goes to court, it'll probably be in November. But the company's strategy in the meantime is get the community on side. If the judge rules that, yes, improper consultation was done with the First Nations, which of course is going to be true because the chief did not really allow any consultation to happen, but by then the company will have already done that, and if the Moose Cree First Nation people are on side with going ahead with this, well then they'll just resubmit it and hopefully get a drill permit from the Ontario Ministry to allow them in January to go in there and do their 6 weeks of drilling to collect this metallurgical sample that they need and get this project back on track. So it is a very positive outcome. It is no way a guaranteed outcome, but at least everybody now has a chance to think about this and see if Northern Ontario will end up having the world's next important niobium mine sometime in the future.
John, have a great Independence Day.
Thank you, Jem.
I've been speaking with John Kaiser, his website, kaiserresearch.com. I'm Jim Goddard.
Comments made on Discovery Watch are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any manner whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Archived online at howstreet.com. Discovery Watch is a production of How Street Media Incorporated.